your first and last name, please.
Alicia Truesdale, Alicia Truesdale.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Can you tell us how it is that you're employed?
I'm currently employed at Wella Company.
And what do you do at Wella?
I'm an administrative assistant.
And how many years have you been with Wella?
21 this June.
Okay. And who are you an administrative assistant to?
Currently,
Yes.
Martindale, and also I assist Mika Quinn.
Okay. And previously Carol Protat?
Yes.
And did you know somebody by the name of Fabio Sementilli?
Yes, I did.
And did you work with him
Yes, I did.
for approximately how many years?
Probably 5 or 6, 7 years.
Okay. You were his executive assistant?
Yes.
Showing you people 73. Do you recognize who you see here in this photo?
Yes, I do.
And do you know all these individuals?
Yes, I do.
And is this Fabio and his children?
Yes, Luigi, Jess, and Bella.
Okay. And when did you first meet? Do you know approximately?
It was quite a while ago because when he came to work for us in the United States and did a stage show, we were, it was quite a while ago. And then he went back to Toronto and he ended up working for Wella in Canada. And then eventually came down to the United States.
And once he came to the United States, did you see him just about every day when he was in the office?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you also know his entire family?
Pretty much, most of the family, yes.
Okay. Did you know his wife?
Yes.
Do you see her in court today?
Yes, I do.
Can you identify her, please?
It's Monica Sementilli. She's sitting right there.
Indicating the defendant.
Thank you. And you also knew Fabio's sister,
Yes.
Morella,
Yes.
as a platform artist for Wella as well?
Yes.
All right. And had you been to the Sementilli home in Woodland Hills many times prior to Fabio's death?
Yes, several times.
For work meetings, parties, things of that nature?
Yes.
And were you responsible for keeping Fabio's schedule and with all of his daily meetings and his travel?
Yes.
And did you always, as a matter of course, send him his agendas every time he traveled?
Always.
Okay. Did you also send them to the defendant so that she would have a breakdown of where he was when he was traveling, along with contact information and things of that nature?
Yes, I always did, as an emergency measure, usually.
And did you also handle any financials or work expenses for Fabio,
Yes, all of them.
including his travel mileage and things of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. And also worked with him or put through his paperwork for his life insurance and all of those type of things?
He actually handled that too with the company, but I was aware of it.
Okay. And did he and you have a very close relationship?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay. And did you also go with him to lead team meetings and trendsetters and various functions and events?
I did accompany him on several events, actually.
Okay. And where was his office located in relation to yours?
Right across from my cubby.
So he was, you were just outside of his office?
Yes.
And when he was at the office and not traveling and actually working just outside where you would work or inside where you, from where you worked, did you often speak to him throughout the day?
All the time.
Okay. And did you also note whether or not when he was in the office, if he would commonly speak to his wife several times throughout the day?
Yeah, I know when he'd call or she'd call him.
Okay. Did you ever hear him refer to the defendant by a nickname?
Yes.
Pootsie?
Pootsie.
Did you know him to be somebody who would often leave to go on date nights and things like that with his wife?
I know he would mention it, that he had a date with his wife.
Did it seem to you that he loved his wife and family?
Adored her and them.
And on a typical work week, if Fabio wasn't traveling, was it also common that on a Monday or a Friday he might work from home?
He might, yeah.
And when he would work from home, or if you would go to see him and he was working from home, or if he had meetings from home, where would those take place?
Sustain.
When you went over to the house for meetings and functions, where would those meetings take place?
Out on his patio.
And when you spoke to him while he was at home, would he check in with you regularly throughout the day on days he worked from home?
Yeah, he'd want to know what was on his schedule, or I'd have to get a hold of him if somebody needed him.
Okay. And was it also part of the business plan that he would often post on social media to the beauty industry from the patio?
From the patio, from an airplane, all over.
Okay. There was something I think that he would do called Fab Style Fridays.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this was part of his work where he would post things about trends in the company, upcoming events, things of that nature, tips.
It's the only way any company is running now.
Yeah. And over the last year before his murder, did it seem that he was traveling internationally or traveling somewhat less?
Somewhat less. I had suggested that he not travel quite so much.
And did you attend a lead team meeting that took place down in, I think it was Torrey Pines, San Diego area in June of 2016?
Yes.
And did the defendant come to that event?
Yes.
Along with Fabio's team, the lead team?
Yes.
And was there a dinner during the nights that you guys were down there in San Diego?
Yes.
Okay. And did Fabio come with the defendant?
Yes.
And did it seem like their normal relationship to you back in June of 2016?
At the dinner.
Okay.
At the dinner, it was, conversation as usual, a kind of thing. We went to an Italian dinner place, but it seemed as the evening kind of went on, it got a little, I don't know. It was a little different.
Different in what way?
Well, it wasn't quite the camaraderie, I think, that we normally experienced when we were all together.
Okay. And what did that have to do with the relationship between Fabio and his wife?
I'm sorry.
Was it their relationship that was different, or was it his relationship with the lead team?
It kind of seemed his relationship with all of us, kind of seemed.
He seemed quieter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And then during the dinner, did you all make plans to go out for drinks afterwards?
Yes, we did.
And did Fabio and the defendant go with you guys?
No, they did not.
Was that unusual as well?
Yeah, usually Fab would stick around for a cocktail.
Okay. And the next day, did he have you cancel his golf and the defendant's massage?
Yes.
And was there anything about the defendant's behavior during that event in June in San Diego that was unusual that you thought was odd?
I thought it was odd that he had me cancel those things because he specifically had me plan them. And he loves to play golf. And then at the breakfast that morning, I felt uncomfortable. I thought it was kind of strange.
What?
That Fab seemed to be hanging on her, or kind of being over affectionate, I guess, with her.
Okay. And that was unusual?
I thought it was. I thought that normally he would be part of the group.
Okay. And what was the defendant's demeanor?
Quiet.
Was she also affectionate with him?
No.
More standoffish?
Yes.
Did it seem like he was trying to please her?
Yes, that's what it appeared to me.
Now, on the date of Monday, January 23rd of 2017, do you remember that day?
Yes.
And during that day, did you know that Fabio was going to be working at home?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with him somewhere around maybe 1:30, 1:50 in the afternoon?
Yes.
Okay. And to check in with you?
Yes.
And at some point later, did you learn that Fabio had been murdered in the backyard of his home?
After I came back from class, yes.
And after the murder, did you go to the Sementilli residence?
I did not. I was to
I'm talking about the days after.
days after, yes.
Okay. And during the days after, did you come to the residence several times in order to bring food and things of that nature and provide support along
Yes.
with other individuals from Wella?
Yes.
Now, in the days following the murder, was there a particular subject that the defendant wanted your assistance with?
Storeroom.
Yes.
What was that?
Life insurance.
Okay. And what did she say to you, if anything, with respect to the life insurance?
She wanted to know if, well, she had said to me, she says, Henry hasn't gotten back to me. Henry being the lead, the head of HR.
Henry Meyer?
Henry Meyer. And she seemed agitated. And I said, it didn't seem like them. They were usually very good about getting back. And I did say to her that I would go back and mention something to Henry, that she had brought it up to me.
This is when you were at the house?
Yes.
And what was she doing when you came to the house?
She had paint samples. She was getting some remodeling done in her first floor.
Did she tell you that the insurance company had given her money
Yes.
to do that?
Yes, she did.
All right. And what, if anything, did she say with respect to the life insurance?
Just that she wanted to know what was going on with it. She wanted to know where she wasn't getting any kind of response, she felt.
Okay. And did you have another conversation with her subsequent to that one again at the house where, again, she brought up that same issue?
Yes.
And did she question you about what the delay was with respect to being paid Fabio's life insurance?
She said she didn't understand what was taking so long.
Did she seem upset when she was talking about that?
She seemed agitated.
Did you describe previously in an interview that she was very upset?
Possibly. I mean, I just know that she was upset. She was anxious to get the money or to get it settled.
Did you know during that same period that she was receiving Fab's full salary?
Yes, I did.
Did she contact you with another issue that she wanted your assistance with?
Yes.
What was that?
She said that that her girlfriends were telling her that she should get out of town.
Okay.
And she had asked, I think you mean something else.
No,
that I
go
said.
ahead. I'm
Okay.
curious your answer.
So
Go ahead.
she did come and ask me, or she called me and asked if I knew of any deal she could get in Las Vegas. And I said I would not be the person to ask that. Really, Melanie Garibay was the one that had the connection in Las Vegas.
Okay. And prior to this Las Vegas event, is that where she said she wanted to go?
Prior to the Las Vegas event,
No. Did she say that she wanted to go to Las Vegas? Is that what she said she was going to do?
she
with
said
her
she was
girlfriend?
interested in going to Las Vegas to get away. Yes,
With her girlfriends.
with her girlfriends.
All right. Did she also ask for your assistance in obtaining Fabio's travel mileage?
Yes.
Okay. I assume since Fabio traveled often that the company, through the company, he would have acquired airline mileage?
Yes.
Okay. And that there was a significant amount?
Yes.
And what did the defendant ask you to do?
She wanted them transferred over to herself.
Okay. And did she ask for your assistance in doing that?
Yes.
And did you go to the house in order to get a copy from her of his death certificate in order to process that request?
Yes.
And did eventually you accomplish that task for her?
Yes.
After the murder, did she also ask for your help in setting up a wake or a memorial at the home the following week?
Yes.
And did she tell you what she wanted?
Yes.
What was that?
It was a particular Mexican restaurant or Mexican caterer that we had used before with Fabio.
The taco lady?
The Nana's Tacos, it's called.
Okay. And you assisted her in setting that up, or you took over that project?
Yes, I took it over.
All right. And did you attend that event?
Yes.
Okay. And who were the attendees or the people that were invited to attend this event at the Sementilli home?
At her request, she had asked that it be employees that would work with Fabio and very close friends.
And family?
Yes, and family, of
And
course.
did you reach out to the family, Fabio's family in Canada, in order to assist them with their arrangements?
Oh, yes.
Hotels, flights,
Yes.
things of that nature? You ensured the payment for all of that?
Yes.
All right. And on that following Sunday, January 29th of 2017, did you notice when you were at the event in the backyard that you had assisted in setting up or had set up, anything unusual with respect to her behavior there?
Overall.
I thought that it was a rather dramatic behavior that was going on.
And did you notice whether or not she was sitting with somebody or with somebody that you didn't recognize?
Yes.
And did you speak to that individual?
I believe I asked, I didn't know who he was. I said, "Who are you?"
And did the individual tell you who he was?
He simply said that he was her racket. He played racquetball with her. He was from the gym.
Other than that one individual, where do you recall where they were sitting?
Almost across from Fabio's chair that was kept vacant because
So that 9:21. Is there a particular chair that Fabio sat in whenever you met with him out here on the patio?
yes, the one over in the corner.
This one here?
Yes.
Okay. And where was this other male seated? The one that you didn't recognize?
On the sofa.
Across from
There
her?
might have been a chair there. I can't quite remember. There might have been a chair next to the sofa, but it was over in that area.
Other than that individual, did you recognize everybody else that was there in terms of their being close friends?
Yes, there were a
Friendly
few
people?
neighbors that had shown up, but they introduced themselves to me.
Neighbors. Nobody else that was
No.
odd or unusual.
No.
Now, when you mentioned that her behavior seemed dramatic, can you describe for us what exactly you witnessed?
I felt there was like a lot of loud sobbing and just very dramatic, very over the top kind of behavior.
Did you see any tears, like she was actually crying?
Not really.
Now, did you also assist in setting up the memorial that Wella put on for Fabio in May of 2017?
Yes, I did the whole thing.
Okay. And when you were arranging that particular event, did you have multiple conversations with the defendant about what was going to occur at the event?
We had a few conversations.
Okay. And did you see when she came to the event at the Wella offices that day?
Yes.
And were you surprised by anything at that point in time?
Yes.
Overall.
What was it that you were surprised by?
She drove up in a brand new, full everything package Mustang. And I was rather surprised because she had said, I had heard that she didn't want to get rid of Fabio's truck because it reminded her so much of him. So I was a little surprised.
And did she tell you that she wasn't going to get rid of his truck because it smelled like Fabio?
She had mentioned that.
And did you direct, or did she go somewhere as the, once she arrived before the event started?
Yes, I had them sit right in Fabio's office.
Okay. And what was she doing? Did she send you to get her something?
She had asked if we had wine.
So she was sitting in his office drinking wine?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
At some point in time, you told us about when she asked you for a connection for Las Vegas. At some point in time, did she mention to you that she was also going to be traveling to Myrtle Beach?
She had mentioned something.
And did she tell you that she was going there because that was a place Fabio had always wanted to go?
She said something like that, yes.
And had he ever mentioned, Fabio ever mentioned going
I
to
had
Myrtle
never
Beach?
heard it before.
Did she tell you she was going with her lover?
No.
Did you know during the year preceding Fabio's murder in 2016 that she was having an affair?
Absolutely not.
Was that something that, if it was happening, perhaps Fabio would have mentioned to you, given your relationship?
Assumption, speculation.
Stan.
Did he ever mention that he suspected
Never.
his wife was having an affair?
Never.
When you sent travel agendas to the defendant, did you also send them to an individual by the name of Robert Baker?
No.
Good morning, Ms. Truesdale.
Hi.
You previously testified that back in 2017 and during the years prior, while you were working with Fabio, that he might work from home on a Monday or a Friday, depending on his prior travel schedules. Is that right?
Yes.
But there was no set day that it was always the case that a Monday following some sort of travel that he was absolutely for sure going to be working from home as opposed to in the
It
office.
depended on what was going on in the office. If he had meetings that he had to be there for, he was there.
And on January 23rd, 2017, am I correct that Fabio called you that morning to inform you that he was going to be working from home that day?
If I'm not mistaken, he had suggested it the week before that he might not be in on Monday. So, but he did let me know, yes, that he was not going to be in the office.
He affirmatively called you the morning of January 23rd?
He might have sent me a text.
Okay, but it was that morning that he had informed you and asked that you
He was
cancel
going to stay home.
his appointments for the day. And you were also aware that Fabio had a colonoscopy appointment that day?
I was told, yes, that he had a colonoscopy appointment.
By Fabio?
I think, yeah, I believe it was Fabio that had mentioned it.
Okay. And you later learned that Fabio didn't have any colonoscopy appointment that day?
That was objection, not supposed to be speculation.
Sustained.
But it was normal that sometimes Fabio would play hooky from work on a Monday or a Friday, right?
I wouldn't say hooky.
She wouldn't say that.
You testified that prior to Fabio's death, you had suggested to Fabio that he travel less for work. You remember that?
Yes.
Isn't it true that Fabio had shared with you that he himself wanted to slow down for work because that's what Monica had asked of him?
I don't know that Monica had asked of him, but I know that he was traveling a lot. And it wears on you. I mean, he wanted to slow down a little bit about the travel.
You testified about this trip in San Diego in June of 2016. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was 7 months prior to Fabio's death.
Yes.
And you also testified that Fabio had asked you to cancel the golfing and the massages, but you never asked him why he wanted you to cancel that, right? So you don't know why he had asked you to cancel those events. And you also testified that you had, when you would prepare Fabio's travel itineraries and agendas, you included Monica on those as an emergency measure, right?
Yes.
She was his wife. It would be normal for her
course.
to want to know where her husband was. After Fabio's death, you testified that you had taken on some responsibility in terms of putting together arrangements for the family in Canada, Fabio's family in Canada.
Yes.
And also getting together catering and some type of transportation for various events.
Yes, I did.
And that was something that the company had asked you to do, right?
Yes.
That wasn't anything Monica asked you to do for her. You testified that, well, let me ask you this. You were interviewed for the first time in this case back in 2021. Is that correct?
I don't know. I could be, yes.
It was several years after Fabio's death that you were formally interviewed by law enforcement and possibly the district attorney.
I had conversations with some detectives prior to that, but not necessarily a sit-down conversation.
But do you recall, just in terms of timing, that your first interview with law enforcement was several years after Fabio's death and Monica's arrest?
It was a few years.
You testified that on January 29th at the wake at the Sementilli home that you had made some observations of Monica Sementilli. Is that right?
Yes.
And you testified today that it was very dramatic.
Yes.
When you spoke with law enforcement back in 2021, you described it differently, didn't you?
I don't recall.
When you spoke with law enforcement back in 2021, didn't you describe that Monica couldn't get it together?
Well, she didn't seem to be getting it together at all.
And would you agree that that's different from very dramatic that you testified to today?
I think that the crying was very dramatic for sure.
Yes, you observed Monica both crying and sobbing during that.
Sobbing. I don't know. You have to understand something. It was at night out by the pool. I wasn't looking for tears, but there certainly was a lot of sobbing and, kind of bent over kind of look. And
So you don't know whether or not Monica was actually crying because you weren't looking for any tears at that time,
I
right?
was a little busy.
Right. And you also testified that you observed Monica sitting on the couch with a gentleman, Robert Baker, right?
Sitting there with a man, yes.
At no time did you see any interaction, any speaking between Monica and that man, did you?
As I said before, I was busy. I was putting the event on.
Right. So at no time did you see them
I did not
communicating.
see them.
You testified that you testified that you were asked by Monica to get the frequent flyer mileage for American Airlines. Is that right?
Yes.
But that was something that came up in conversation because Monica had to travel to Canada for a funeral,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You testified, strike that. And with respect to Monica reaching out to you about potentially getting a hotel in Las Vegas, she said she wanted help getting a discounted room rate, right?
Yeah.
A deal. She wanted a good deal, nothing that was too expensive.
Yes. That's the way I understood it, yes.
And on the frequent flyer mileage, you actually kind of took it upon yourself to facilitate the transfer from Fabio's American Airlines to Monica's. You actually asked her to set up an American Airlines account in order to do that, right?
Sustained.
Did you ask Monica for her birth date so that you yourself could set up an American Airlines frequent flyer mileage program on her behalf?
I might have. That might have been the way that I was able to transfer the miles to her.
Am I correct that just prior to Fabio's death, he had just very recently turned in his insurance paperwork for the new benefits program under Cody?
I don't know about that. I know when he was doing increasing his life insurance. Health insurance benefits always happen in October, so that would have kicked in January. As far as his life insurance goes, that was something that's handled at a corporate level. Although I knew what he was doing and I knew why he was doing it.
And when did you know what he was doing?
I don't remember exactly.
Well,
It was sometime in 2016 that he was doing it.
Well, Cody purchased Wella. That deal was finalized in October of 2016, right?
Yes.
So
Around in that time then, probably.
in the late fall, winter, potentially maybe even early 2017.
Yes, and remember that we were on prior to that to Procter & Gamble, so a lot of those benefits were transferred over to Cody, too.
But as you sit here today, you don't know whether Fabio elected for different benefit coverage under Cody versus what he had under P&G. Am I correct that, you had previously told law enforcement about what you had observed Monica's emotional distress at the wake? And isn't it true that you actually sent a counselor over to the Sementilli home at some point because you were concerned about the emotional distress in the household?
The Cody company offered this benefit, and they came to me saying, what would you do? And I said, I think that it would benefit the girls if they went there and maybe talked to them. And I think that's kind of normal. And the person went up there. I don't know that they wanted to talk with the person that went there. I did work with the person though.
For the Wella May Memorial, you testified that you were really surprised because Monica was in a different vehicle, a vehicle that was different from the Ford F-150 truck, right?
Yes.
And you testified that it was the full package, but you don't know whether it was the full package or not, do you?
I just saw the car.
Okay, you just saw, and it's a black Ford Mustang, is that right?
Yeah.
And isn't it true that Monica informed you that it was going to be extremely expensive for her to keep Fabio's truck, and that's why she had to turn it in?
She could have mentioned that.
This Wella event, it had some form of catering with food and beverages, right?
Yes.
Including wine.
Yes.
And so the wine that Monica was drinking in the office before the event, that was the event, part of the event, right?
I believe so, yes.
The prosecutor asked you about whether Monica informed you that she was going to be going on trips with her, with Robert Baker. You remember she asked that?
Yes.
And Monica and you didn't have a friendship where that was something that she would otherwise communicate to you. Isn't that right?
I'm going to check. I would call them speculation.
Sustained.
Prior to Fabio's death, did Monica ever tell you when she was going on a trip somewhere?
No.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further from the people?
You knew the week before, when Fabio left the office, that he was going to be working from home that following Monday, correct? The day he was murdered.
He could have mentioned it to me, yes.
That would be the type of thing he would typically mention to you.
Yeah, of course.
Law enforcement, actually, after Fabio's murder, came to the offices at Wella, correct?
Yes, they wanted to look at his office.
And they spoke to you then.
Yes.
And with respect to Fabio's frequent flyer mileage, that idea of transferring it to her was the defendant's idea, not yours, correct?
Could have been both of ours at the time. I mean, I just felt, I wanted to do it for her. I know that when she mentioned it to me, that because she was going to be doing so many trips to Toronto.
But those were being paid for by the company.
I don't know.
You didn't have that through the company with the repatriation of his body for the funeral? That was all paid through by Wella.
And it probably was. It was done through HR, though.
Okay. So she didn't really need Fabio's mileage if she's traveling on the company dime, right?
Sustained.
She didn't need Fabio's mileage if the company was paying
If they're
for it.
paying, no.
And as you said, you wanted to help her and the girls with anything that they needed.
Of course.
You thought she was a devastated widow.
Of course.
When Fob came to the company, whether it was Fabio, whether it was under Wella, whether it was under Cody, whether it was under P&G, he had life insurance from the beginning.
Yes.
That was part of his benefits package.
Yes.
Okay. And when you said that you knew what he had done and why he had done it, you're referring to what you just described is he was increasing his benefits and his life insurance in order to provide for his family.
You made that.
Foundation, speculation.
Sustained.
Is that what you?
He made it clear that it was for his family. He wanted to make sure they were taken care of.
That's what he told you.
Yes.
And when you testified that you were surprised when she came to the memorial in this new Mustang, she told you all about her new Mustang, right?
I know they were talking about it. I think you have to understand too, I was pretty busy trying to make sure everything was happening and she was taken care of and the girls were okay. And of course her mother was there as well, so.
Okay.
But there was mention of the Mustang, yes.
She talked about the fact that it had all these gadgets in it.
Yes. That it was pretty packed.
Yeah. And with respect to the question you were asked about the defendant saying it was extremely expensive to keep the truck, and you said she may have, you don't have any recollection of that as you sit here today, correct?
I don't recall. She might have mentioned it, but I don't recall that she did.
So you don't recall that?
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing further.
Anything further from the defense?
The prosecutor asked you on redirect whether Fabio may have mentioned the week before that he was going to be working from home on that Monday, right?
Yes.
That's what the prosecutor asked you?
Finish your answer, please, before Bob.
You may finish your answer.
Okay. I think if you understand the circumstances, yes, he probably said to me, hey, listen, I'm going to take this Monday off, whatever, try to rework my schedule.
Okay, that he may have mentioned it to you, right?
Might have.
But you don't have any specific recollection that he affirmatively did say that the week before, correct?
I'm pretty good, but 8 years ago is a little, I don't remember exactly if he did or not.
You don't recall, right?
He probably did, but I don't recall that when exactly he said that to me.
Okay, you don't recall that he said that affirmatively to you.
I'm going to object, it's now been answered, please.
I think we can call it several.
You don't recall whether Fabio affirmatively told you the week before that he was going to be at home on Monday. You can't recall affirmatively.
No, I don't recall.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Truesdale. You are excused. Hey, call your next witness.
People called Detective Dave Frederick.